in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants some smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
You don't
circles
want no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million.
Okay then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was laughing with him. He wasn't bothering you. Let me ask you a question, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit. Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
ain't no shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit.
The moment Jim Jones opened his mouth on live television, nobody thought it would go this far. At first, it sounded like just another loud opinion, another rapper talking tough, another podcast moment meant to shake the internet for a few clicks.
Oh, you've been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
y'all
but look how you dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. And the things
I can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, I know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Ain't nobody from Dipset gonna take you over Nas. Nobody from the Diplomats but you.
Hey, I got hold on, Jim. Hold on.
That shirt too tight.
Hold on.
That shirt too tight. You want to go back
Hold
to I really mean it? I really mean it started. If you could go back to the history, bro.
But you didn't even say that.
But what people didn't realize was that Jim had just stepped into a room he was never invited into. A room where memories don't fade, receipts never disappear, and silence can be more dangerous than shouting. Because this time, Jim wasn't just talking about himself. He mentioned Nas, and by doing that, he unknowingly rang a bell that only one man ever answers: 50 Cent.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got big hits. He looked to you, he learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my era too. I admired Nas. But remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade. So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan. Period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
What happened next didn't come with yelling. It didn't come with threats. It didn't come with diss tracks or interviews. It came with something far worse: a calm smile, a slow post, and a reminder that some men don't argue, they expose.
I came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though.
You know what I mean?
A lot of them, though.
Me, Jim Jones. No Diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, and check all them entries and shit. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry.
And once 50 Cent decides to remind the world who you really are, there's no going back. Because in hip-hop, disrespect travels fast, but retaliation travels deeper. And what nobody expected was how fast everything would spiral once 50 decided Jim had gone too far. The tension didn't start on that stage, it didn't begin on live TV, and it definitely didn't start with Nas.
I never got to, did I ever got to see Nas? I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody.
This story had been building for years, quietly, waiting for one reckless moment to bring it back to life. Jim Jones has always walked with confidence. From Dipset glory days to solo success, he made a name by being loud, fearless, and unapologetic. In Harlem, that energy was respected. In the streets, that posture meant something. And in the industry, it helped him survive eras that swallowed others whole. But confidence becomes dangerous when it turns into comparison, and comparison becomes deadly when you aim it at legends. Nas isn't just a rapper. He's not just an artist from Queensbridge. To many, he represents history, survival, poetry from pain, someone who never needed controversy to stay relevant. So when Jim went on live TV and began questioning impact, influence, and cultural weight, people leaned forward. Some laughed, some shook their heads, but one person didn't react at all, and that's what should have scared everyone.
I'm hiding out in Texas. Please, whatever you do, don't tell them I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell them I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell them, please, don't tell them, because there's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
Because 50 Cent has never been the type to respond immediately. He doesn't rush. He doesn't argue in real time. He lets the moment breathe. And while everyone else is yelling, he's digging. That's the part people forget.
Never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confidence.
50 doesn't need to insult you. He just needs to remind others who you really are. And once Jim doubled down on his comments, once he repeated them with pride, the energy shifted completely. What started as opinion now felt like disrespect, not just toward Nas, but toward the culture itself. And that's when the internet began to move differently.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Or would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
Old clips resurfaced. Old interviews reappeared. Old conversations suddenly sounded brand new again. And behind the scenes, 50 was watching it all unfold. No tweets, no captions, no laughs, just observation. Then, quietly, the first post dropped. No names mentioned, no direct shots fired, just a single image. And for those who understood the meaning, it felt like a warning shot across the sky.
Yo, honestly, I can't, like, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck do you write about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss right now. Like, yo, he used to have so nervous with like B.I.G., Pop, right? Even Cannabis, like Eminem, he have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, like, I mean, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
fans instantly knew what it was referencing. Not music, not beef, not bars. History. The kind of history people hope stays buried. Suddenly, comment sections weren't debating who was more influential anymore. They were asking dangerous questions. Why hasn't Jim ever been touched? Why did certain situations disappear? Why were some names always protected? That's when fear replaced entertainment, because once those questions start circulating, the conversation is no longer about ego, it becomes about survival. Jim tried to brush it off. He laughed. He joked. He leaned into the moment, pretending it was all marketing. Streams going up, attention rising, numbers climbing. But there was something different in his tone. A little tighter, a little louder, a little more defensive. Because Jim knew exactly what 50 was capable of. They had history, real history. Back when Dipset was shaking the streets and G-Unit was ruling the industry, lines were drawn without ever being announced. Alliances mattered, loyalty mattered, and disrespect carried consequences beyond music. Years ago, when tensions flared between camps, 50 never fought with fists, he fought with information, and that's why his silence now felt heavier than noise. Then came the live TV moment that changed everything. Jim went back on air, and instead of cooling things down, he turned the temperature all the way up. He spoke with his chest, repeated the comparison, questioned legacy, challenged perception, and for a brief moment, it looked like he was daring someone to respond. But here's the twist. 50 didn't respond to the words, he responded to the implication. Because once Jim framed himself above Nas, once he painted himself as untouchable, it triggered something much deeper. Not anger, not jealousy, protection. 50 has always respected Nas, not because of friendship, but because of authenticity. And in a culture built on truth, exaggeration is dangerous. So instead of clapping back on camera, 50 went where he's always been most dangerous: Instagram. One caption, one reference, one reminder. And suddenly, everything Jim said stopped mattering, because now the conversation wasn't about music anymore. It was about paperwork. Old courtroom mentions resurfaced. Old federal language got dragged back into daylight. A nickname people once laughed at suddenly didn't feel funny anymore. Individual one. The internet froze, because those two words weren't internet slang. They weren't jokes. They were real. They came from real transcripts, real testimony, real cases. And once fans made the connection, Jim's name started trending for all the wrong reasons. 50 didn't say he believed anything. He didn't accuse. He didn't point fingers. He simply let the streets remember. And when the streets remember, they don't forget easily. Jim responded again, posting gym videos, flexing strength, daring confrontation. But that only made things worse, because when someone starts showing muscles during a conversation about receipts, it tells a story all by itself. It looked like panic disguised as confidence. Fans noticed. The energy shifted again. People weren't laughing with Jim anymore. They were watching him, waiting, wondering, because every time 50 went quiet, something followed. And sure enough, another post appeared. Subtle, calculated, deadly. It referenced nothing directly, yet explained everything. The caption was short, but the message was loud. And once again, 50 didn't need to insult Jim. He let implication do the damage. At this point, even people who weren't fans started paying attention. Because this wasn't petty beef. This wasn't entertainment. This was a reminder of hierarchy, a lesson about knowing your lane, and above all, a warning about speaking too freely when others know your past better than you do. Jim tried to regain control by turning the narrative. He claimed it was strategy, marketing, chess. But the more he spoke, the more it felt like he was trying to convince himself. Because while Jim was talking every day, Nas stayed silent, and that silence said everything. Nas didn't respond, didn't defend himself, didn't acknowledge the comparison. Because legends don't argue relevance, they let time speak. And while Jim chased reaction, 50 was reshaping the entire conversation. Suddenly, it wasn't Jim versus Nas, it was Jim versus memory. And memory is undefeated. Fans began pulling clips from years ago, moments that aged badly, statements that now sounded risky, old alliances that looked shaky, and through it all, 50 remained calm, almost amused, like someone watching a man talk himself into a corner. The emotional weight of it all hit Jim harder than he expected, because behind the bravado, there's family, there's legacy, there's reputation, and once your name starts getting attached to federal language again, no amount of Jim posts can erase that feeling. Industry relationships go quiet, phones stop ringing, invitations disappear. That's the real damage, the part cameras never capture. You could see it in Jim's energy. The confidence started cracking. The jokes felt forced. The smiles didn't reach his eyes, because he knew something the audience didn't. 50 never finishes publicly. He lets pressure do the rest. And then, just when people thought it was slowing down, 50 dropped one final reminder. Not loud, not aggressive, just enough to say, "I haven't even started." That's when fear replaced bravado completely, because when someone with nothing left to prove reminds you they know your story better than you do, it changes everything. This wasn't about ego anymore, it was about exposure. And exposure doesn't require shouting, it only requires timing. Jim had wanted attention. He got it, but not the kind he imagined. Instead of debates about influence, he became the subject of investigation, not by police, but by the public. And once the public starts connecting dots, the damage spreads fast. The emotional toll showed quietly, not in tears, not in breakdowns, but in silence between posts, longer pauses, less certainty, because the industry doesn't protect people when controversy smells real, and everyone could feel that shift. Nas still didn't say a word, which made it worse, because now Jim wasn't battling legends, he was battling shadows, and shadows don't miss. 50 had successfully turned the spotlight without raising his voice. He reminded everyone why people fear him, not for violence, not for music, but for memory. He remembers everything, and when he decides to bring it back, he does it calmly, cleanly, without apology. In the end, Jim learned the hardest lesson in hip-hop. Not everyone who laughs with you is safe to challenge. Not every comparison is harmless, and not every silence means weakness. Sometimes, silence means someone is letting you finish talking before they remind a world who you really are. Because relevance fades, clips disappear, trends die, but receipts? Receipts don't age. And when 50 Cent decides to open that old drawer, he never does it for entertainment. He does it to end conversations. So now the question isn't whether Jim will respond again, it's whether he should. Because every word moving forward carries weight, every post invites memory, every flex invites scrutiny. And once a man like 50 Cent stops smiling, the smartest move isn't speaking louder, it's knowing when to stop. Because in hip-hop, there are battles you fight, and there are battles you survive. And Jim Jones may have just learned the difference, live in front of the world.